Now, a hedonist, someone who's really into pleasure, if you're really going to feel pleasure, you're not going to feel the pleasure of 2 hours of lovemaking if you're completely puffed after 5 minutes, huh? Just on a very basic level. And what pleasure do you really get to experience if your senses are numbed or oversaturated by unpleasant things? You know, if you're very drunk, you don't get to experience much pleasure. You're going to have crashing orgasms that you're not going to remember tomorrow, and you don't really get to experience at the time.
Sure. So it's really the denial of pleasure, or the denial of a true experience of pleasure, that makes you seek and seek and seek more and more pleasure, but you're not tasting it, you're not eating it. It's like eating a zillion McDonald's, you're not going to feel satisfied. Same thing. Armor can appear in many ways. Hints of armor can simply be a woman comes and she has the inability to experience orgasm. It's clear there's plenty of armor happening in her body. You can touch a person's body up and down the points of the chakras. There can be actually, when I was very armored around my third chakra, it was like a hard ball. Not everyone's that obvious, but mine was very obvious. Some people can become very overweight. It's very obvious. So it depends. There's different ways it manifests, but it becomes quite clear quite quickly, the armoring in the body. And then the methods one uses with that is touch or awareness, breathing, moving. You know, it's a process. It's taken many years for the armor to arrive in the body, so it's going to take a while to start to shed that again, like an old skin that doesn't need to be there anymore. But I think perhaps you're asking about that Tantra is relating with other people. And sure, there's many aspects of that, because so much of your learning comes from relating with someone and then projecting something on that person, conflicting with them over that, having to take that back and see what you're refusing in yourself. There's a huge amount of learning that comes from that. But then you take it a little bit underneath your skin, and that projecting, what you're projecting out, you're actually projecting in as well. And that relating comes back to within yourself. It just depends on where your awareness is and how you can, at some points of your awareness, you can't possibly see that that's really about you. So you have to make it about the other and fight it out there and learn about it here. And then as your awareness deepens, you can take that back to underneath your skin, back to yourself, and see where that's part of you that you've been refusing.
Someone I'm working with recently, for example, there's a lot of rejection around childhood, a lot of parents not being fond and close and loving, and there's a sibling, and the sibling got all the attention, and my poor client didn't, and that sort of situation. And there I'll work with her to take her into those spaces of feeling the way she felt then and looking at it again. And she finds some truths. She finds some truths like being a seeker, just her being a seeker, means that she cannot have the close affiliation and the comfort and the love of a particular piece of ground and the close nurturement and support of this family, that she's challenged to to individuate. She's challenged to individuate and get out there in the world and explore and experience and get on with the finding out. That was necessary in her life. And that was just the truth, that she couldn't have a close, comfortable, cushy, marshmallow time at home. It just wasn't appropriate to her path. And if it had been, there we are, there's the breaks. Now what would you have preferred? That or the awareness you're after? Not that you get to choose later. If you're a seeker, that's your own fault. You know, you're the one who went and wanted to know everything, wanted to know the truth of love, wanted to know, you know, what is God. It's your own fault for asking these questions if you troubled with these things, but existence has a particular way with you. And it drives us along. It gives us what we want. It gives us what gives us pleasure. We just miss sometimes that sometimes pleasure is climbing a Mount Everest. You know, sometimes pleasure means you lose toes and fingers in the quest. It can happen.
There's no quick fix on this path.
There's no quick fix, but there's different speeds of movement. And there's people ready at different stages, different levels of perception and awareness. The old Hindu scriptures talk about this. They talk about the seeker who is so ready, so well worked on their path, so open, so accepting, that one day they just have to hear that there is someone in the world that has had this experience. There is someone. Just the notion, just that confirmation of the possibility is enough for them to take that step or become completely available to the grace that then happens.
But that they are in that place because of what they've done before and where they've been before.
Now, there's also seekers that, you know, they need to sit with the master a while, or just on meeting him, that will be enough. There's some that, you know, 20 years hard work. I look at my own path, it's been a lot more than 20, you know, it's, yes, 25-ish years of very intent pursuit. Yeah. And it can be a hell of a lot of work, sure.
But what does help is to find somebody who has walked it and has that awareness to see what could be of use to you. This is the quickest fix that there is out there. Somebody of awareness who's willing to facilitate your journey in some way. You know, a philosophy or an ideology are a set of words to point to something. So if I say to you, there's this new food, and it tastes like this and this and this and this, and I can explain it to you, and you can accept my words of what this food is. Sure, we can accept it. But until you eat that food, then you've got no clue what the food is, actually. And the same with truth, love, enlightenment, I can spin you words and words and words and words, and they can point. They can hint at, hey, you try that, maybe you get an experience, or maybe you get a satori or a taste of this. But until you've had it, till you've really known it, none of my words mean anything. So we can accept things, we can say, hey, this is a nice finger pointing at the moon. It's lovely the way this is expressed. We like it, we accept it. But in the real of you knowing it for yourself, these words mean nothing.